Well, the south of England and the majority of England, in fact, sees the continuation of warm summer like weather. It is back to the grind for Scotland with below average temperatures once again. Thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Hit that like button, share with your friends and family, and subscribe. I, as always, greatly appreciate everybody's support. If you're new to the channel, a very warm welcome. Drop a comment in the section below and let me know what you think of the content here on the channel. But it looks as if we are mighty close to the 30 Celsius mark for the first time in 2024 for the southern half of the UK. But look at the temperatures across the north, only 13, 14, even 12 Celsius in several spots. These, by the way, were the temperatures yesterday afternoon. In the same areas that are only 12, 13 today, it was as high as 27.2 at Aboyne, 26.6 at the Aberdeen Dice Airport, even up towards Altnahara, 24.7 Celsius. And it was certainly a beautiful day indeed. Even the western side of Northern Ireland was seeing temperatures into the mid-20s. Was seen at 26, I believe, in the Dublin area. And then obviously the further south you went, temperatures were in and around 28 Celsius in a few spots. So like I say, these are the current temperatures, and we've only got 12s and 13s in the areas that were 26, 27 yesterday, 24 yesterday at Altnahar, only 14.6 at the time of recording. But they across Northern Ireland as well, only 16, 17 to speak about, 16 Celsius as opposed to 26. So quite a significant drop in the Dublin area compared to yesterday. And you have a measly 20 down in the Shannon Airport area of the Republic of Ireland. So we do have temperatures in and around 27, 28, and around the capital it looks as if we're on 29 Celsius. Here's a tweet here by Daniel at London and Southeast Weather saying 50-50. This was 32 minutes ago, by the way. 50-50 if we are going to see a 30 Celsius today. Might be a near miss. These are the temperatures that have been achieved. London Heathrow 29.2, St James's Park 28.8, Kew Gardens 28.3, Northolt 27.2, and London City Airport at 27. But that certainly is a very, very notable difference in temperature between north and south over the UK. We are going to continue to see the warmth across the bulk of England and even Wales as well. We've got 26s and 27s, if you notice here, right close to the border here between England and Wales. So let's not forget our friends in Wales as well. But this is the current satellite imagery showing a cut-off area of low pressure here, spinning to the west of Iberia here. We've got some thunderstorms blowing up over the high ground of interior Spain. And there's the cloud cover that is helping keep a lid on the temperature, and seeing a significant 10 Celsius drop or thereabouts across northern areas compared to yesterday. So we've got plenty of cloud cover across Ireland, Northern Ireland and Scotland, Northern England as well. But then get further south, it's sunny skies and warm conditions. Look at France as well, plenty of sunshine here to speak about. This is the current radar here of Weather Online. You can see showers on the west coast, but also we've got some fairly heavy showers, downpours, organised areas of possible thunderstorms actually over the higher ground of Scotland here, generally in a line between what the Trossachs and up to the Murray coast, extending up into the North Sea as well. This kind of band and boundary of fairly heavy rain, some shower activity across the Borders region. Also here, largely high and dry with the exceptions of the North Pennines. Elsewhere, Ireland actually, despite having cloud cover and cool-ish temperatures, we've got no real rain to speak about. Looking at the temperatures currently across the continent, and no surprise, we've got warm conditions across Iberia and France here under sunny skies. We've got 27, 28 Celsius across Germany, the Low Countries as well. We've got a little bit of fresher conditions over the southern flank of the Alps into northern Italy also, and then the heat as per usual down across Greece and Turkey. So I want to have a quick glance at the difference in sea surface temperatures in the last 7 days across the North Atlantic, because we're going to look probably, and hopefully tomorrow's video, we're going to have a look at ideas with regards to the month of July here. We're obviously getting very close to meteorological summer's second month, and this is the current sea surface temperature profile over the North Atlantic. We've seen a warming actually within the entire northern hemisphere, the entire North Atlantic basin, but we've seen some significant cooling taking place over the eastern side of the North Atlantic here. But we've got some very, very warm waters, if you notice here, extending from eastern United States out into the central North Atlantic here. We've seen some cooling in the Gulf of Mexico and to the east of the southeast coast in recent days, thanks to some heavy rains and some tropical activity in recent times. But this very, very warm waters within kind of the central and western portion of the basin versus the cooler east. What's going to be interesting is what atmospheric response this has as we step into what will become the heart of the summer season. It's going to be interesting to see how the pattern evolves and how it responds with this sea surface temperature profile. Does the cool waters near the UK allow higher pressure, or does it actually allow higher pressure over that warmer water out over the central North Atlantic? So where does the ridge and trough pattern reside as we move into the month of July? That's something we're going to be looking at in a little bit more detail over the next few days here. But I'm very curious to see how the atmosphere responds. Do we see a ridge start to kind of build over the central North Atlantic? That would then constitute more troughiness over the UK and Ireland, or do we get the opposite effect? Because sometimes cool waters can allow higher pressure to build as well, and lower pressure actually over the warm waters. So that's going to be an interesting one to kind of monitor as we go through the coming weeks. Now the MJO is gradually, it's kind of in the null phase, but it is kind of creeping through phases 2 and 3, which is favorable for tropical cyclogenesis in the Atlantic, and we will be monitoring that over the next several days here, because there is reason to believe that a tropical wave crossing over the North Atlantic may eventually develop, and that's something we're going to look at in the tropical outlook, whether it be during the course of this work week or on Saturday in a little bit more detail. But it's going to be interesting. This MJO is favorable in phases 2 and 3 at the moment for the Atlantic here, but it is gradually creeping into phases 4 and 5, which constitutes more sinking over the Atlantic and actually rising over the Pacific Ocean. And the reason why I'm saying this in the European outlook, and obviously, if you've been here for some time, following me and following my kind of the background of ideas and the forecast that I have, the MJO and the tropics play a significant role, and I think it's going to become a bigger influence what's going on within the tropics as we move into the middle and second half of the summer season in general. I think we're going to start to watch the Atlantic becoming more active, and as it does so, that will have a significant influence on our pattern within the mid latitudes here, because transporting heat, whether it be westwards towards the Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, or United States, or we see that northward turn over the Atlantic and seeing parcels of warm tropical air getting lifted northwards, that obviously has an impact on both the jet stream and also the ridge trough pattern. It can deepen troughs, it can strengthen ridges. That is something that we need to watch as we go. I would say particularly so late July and into the month of August. The month of August is when you start to really see things ramping up with regards to the tropics and the influence that may have downstream over Western Europe. Now notice here that as we play, this is obviously the GFS 200 millibar velocity potential anomaly chart, and essentially the oranges represent sinking within the atmosphere, the greens represent rising air. Now notice here, as we move towards the final days of the month, we see a significant dramatic change in the large scale sinking demises over Eastern Pacific, over the Americas, and into the Atlantic Basin. You notice here that we start to see a lot of widespread rising. That's your phase 4 into 5 MJO signal here, where you've got a lot of upward motion within the Indian Ocean. We're going to probably see the increase in moisture building northwards over the Indian subcontinent, for example, and we will start to see, I would say, a quietening down of the activity that we've seen in recent times over the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean Sea, and this general region. I think we're going to start to shut that down as we move out of the month of June and into July. Now, what is interesting, look at that there. Look, that's very, very strong sinking motion within the atmosphere over South America and extending into North America. I would expect to see the convection that we've seen ongoing here for quite some time start to shut down. And look at the amount of rising air over the central and western portions of the Indian the Pacific Ocean, sorry, into the eastern side of the Indian Ocean. Now, what I would expect to see now, this is quite interesting. The Arctic Oscillation is expected to go back towards neutral and then strongly positive. Now, is that seeing the MJO rotating into phases 4 and 5? That will be the big question into phases 4, 5, and possibly 6. Now, the NAO, for example, is going the opposite way. We're actually strongly positive at the moment, but it's expected to go back towards neutral once again. So this is the ideas now starting to build as we move out of this current spell of heat that we're already seeing the demise of that over Scotland. It was really only a 1 or 2 day affair, and then we've went back to reality once again. But I want to show you here the possible influences of that large scale sinking over the Caribbean and over the Western Atlantic Basin here, the response that may have on the atmosphere. So obviously we've seen the buildup of heat over the eastern side of North America. That then allowed the trough to then develop and strengthen over the central North Atlantic, and then consequently build the ridge over the western side of the European continent. That turned our winds from a cool, fresh west to northwesterly to a warm west to southwesterly direction here, and it's been allowing that warmth out of the Azores to build north into the UK and Ireland, presenting the warmest temperatures of the year so far. But it's as we look at this North Atlantic view, this is the GFS ensemble, geopotential heights, a normalized anomaly. So this is against climatology. Where you see the oranges, it shows above average pressure. Where you see the blues, it shows below average pressure. Now notice something here. Now this is the kind of general emphasis that we've got at the moment. This is back to Sunday, 23rd of June. We had the ridge over the eastern side of North America, but we are starting to see changes. And this is important, by the way. We're seeing little features run over the top of this ridge. We're seeing mega flooding. This is going to be something that we'll look at that in quite a bit of detail in the upcoming Sunday live stream. The huge flooding situation that we have seen evolve over parts of South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. Now, we're seeing essentially disturbances running now into the upper Midwest, through the Great Lakes, and towards the Northeast. Watch what happens here. As we see these changes taking place over North America, we've got the ridge quite strong. This is, of course, back on Sunday. With the deep trough over the North Atlantic, we've got the strong ridge over the UK and Ireland. Watch what happens over North America. As we step through the next few days, we've got these features running into the eastern side of North America. We're starting to see the core of the ridge now start to back westwards towards the western United States. And as it does so, it's going to start to allow higher pressure to build northwards as we start to see a trough and features running into the eastern side of the United States. That is then going to start to realign, reshape the upper air pattern, and it's going to start to change things here. We're starting to see a flattening out the flow over the North Atlantic. We're going to start to see the ridge over the UK and Ireland demise. We've still got, this is obviously Tuesday today, 25th of June. We've got a little shortwave trough now exiting the eastern side of North America. We've got ridging now starting to try and kind of lift northwards in response to that trough dropping in. We've got then heights trying to build northwards. There's that little cut-off feature that I alluded to in the satellite imagery not that long ago. There's the ridge of high pressure over the UK, but it's already starting to get kicked out of the way due to the changes taking place within eastern North America. So you notice here we've got this area of low pressure then kind of swinging its way towards the UK and Ireland as we move towards the upcoming weekend. And watch what's happening. We've got more trophiness now starting to show its hand over eastern North America. As we're starting to see the ridge back westwards, the trough dropping into eastern North America, we're then starting to see and lose that trough over the North Atlantic and over Greenland here. So therefore, you can see where it's going. We're starting to see the ridge building over the North Atlantic, more in the way of trophiness over the UK and Ireland here. And that looks as if that's going to become the mainstay as we move towards the first few days of July here. But you notice here that we're starting to see changes once again taking place. Now, this might be the phase 4 or 5 of the MJO starting to show its hand. So I think what we're going to see is this hot spell to end June, warm to hot, depending on your definition. And then we're going to see a cool start to the month of July. But behind that cool spell, we might go right back to the ridge over the UK and Ireland, trough over the North Atlantic here, due to the eastward progression of the MJO here. So this is certainly a dynamic but rather interesting situation that is unfolding here. And I think what we're going to see, certainly for the first 5 days or so of July, we're going to see the ridge over the North Atlantic and northwesterly winds bringing fresher conditions into the UK and Ireland here once again. But then you're keeping your eyes on what's going on over the United States. We're starting to see the trough back into the west, the ridge in the east here. Then you would expect to see more troughiness over the North Atlantic and ridging back over the UK and Ireland here. So I hope that's understandable. I hope you can get what I'm meaning by that. But it certainly will be a very interesting evolution coming forward here. Cool start to July, I think, but I think into week 2 we could reverse things quite quickly. We shall wait and see what happens with that. This is the upcoming 5-day temperature-wise of the GFS ensemble. So you can see here that we have average conditions over Scotland, slightly below average across Western Ireland and Northern Ireland, and the average across Central and Eastern Ireland. Notice here that we've got slightly warmer than average over England and Wales, and that is encompassing the kind of hot next couple of days where we will push the 30 Celsius mark. But based on everything that I've just said, watch what happens in the 6 to 10. It's showing firmly below average conditions. And this is the period between the 30th of June and the 5th of July. So that is essentially the first 5 days of July. It's below average. Then the 11th to 15th, it's actually showing slightly below average still. That's taking us out to the 5th through the 10th of July. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to keep an eye on all this as the time goes on. This is the latest CDAS 0.5 cumulative temperature anomalies through the 25th of June, and we still remain below average across the UK and Ireland here. The big question is going to be, do we hold on to this negative anomaly before month's end? That is going to be the question. Certainly over the last 5 days, it has been warmer than average, as you can see here of the model here. So hope you've enjoyed today's video. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back again tomorrow. We'll hopefully look at the month of July. Stay tuned. Bye for now.